Well, we wanted to know if the voters agree with that, so we invited the governor to join pollster Frank Luntz and his focus group right after the debate to answer their questions. Watch this.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce the man who you said won the debate tonight, Governor John Kasich of the state of Ohio. Governor, how are you? Good. How many people walked in here supporting John Kasich? Raise your hands. 3 people. How many of you thought he won the debate? Overwhelming. Governor, what do you want them to know about your campaign or about what you're about that you weren't able to tell them this evening? Go ahead.
I can fix the problems in Washington, you know, balancing budgets, cutting taxes, fixing the regulations, getting the country straightened up. But what I really wanted you to know is I want to shift a lot of power back to where you live. And you know what I want you to do? I want you to revive the spirit of our country by fixing things where you live. Don't wait for somebody to come in and solve all the problems. We got to fix our schools, keep our kids away from drugs, and I'll tell you another thing. It's like that lady who was married for 52 years. Her husband died. Nobody takes her to dinner. Call her up. She'll get her hair done on Thursday. And when you pick her up on Saturday, she'll have a dress on she hadn't worn in 6 months. I mean, we need to pull ourselves together, our families, our communities, our neighborhoods. I'll take care of Washington. You just take care of this. Okay? If I run into trouble, I'll give you a call.
What do you think? Is that what you're looking for? So here's your opportunity. What questions do you have? Go ahead, in the back.
I think a lot of us really fell in love with you, but we're being told that you don't have a chance. So how do we get you a chance?
Well, I mean, the key is that we have to have a decent showing here, and then when we win Ohio, it's going to be a whole new ball game. And it's sort of funny. I need to get a little springboard out of Michigan into Ohio, and if I can win in Ohio, then I'm going to emerge even more. See, the problem has been I'm not willing to get down in the gutter. And so I don't say incendiary things to get elected, okay? I won't do that. No, I won't do it. But see, you know what the problem is? If you don't say incendiary things, then you don't get on television. So here's what's really amazing. You think about this. I was 1% in the polls all the way to New Hampshire. People had counted me out. They said I couldn't win. We raised money. We spent it so carefully. I finished second in New Hampshire. That's the first time you saw me. Then I go down south, and they ignore me again. They ignore me the whole time because I'm not saying incendiary things and fighting with somebody. And you know what? I'm not going to do that. If I lose, that's life, okay? Sometimes you got to vote not just with your head, but with your heart.
You walked in here supporting who?
Mr. Kasich.
This guy.
Yeah.
What is special about him to you?
You have a plan. You have experience. I lived in Ohio. I love Ohio. It's a great place, second to Michigan. And, you know, you've done a lot there. I was around in voting when you were in Congress and when you worked with Newt Gingrich and when you knew Ronald Reagan, which was the first president I ever voted for. So, I mean, you speak my language. You did those things, and I thought they were great, and I think that's exactly what our country needs now.
I have a bias, which is I always go to the youngest person in the room. You're 18 years old, so this is going to be your first presidential vote.
Yes.
What would you ask Governor Kasich?
Well, how do you plan to motivate the young people to get out in numbers like you see other candidates doing?
Well, because, see, my message to you is you were made special. There's nobody ever been born, nobody has ever been born, has ever been like you, and no one who will come after you will be like you. So the question is, what do you want to do to change the world? Because that's what you have to believe in. And look, what I want to do is make sure you have the power, you can get a job. I want to make sure that we get the job growth, the wages up and all that. And we can do that because I know how to get it done, working with Democrats. And the fact is we have to be Americans before we're a member of a political party. But for you, if I can convince you that you can change the world by living a life bigger than yourself, you'll get fired up and excited, don't you think?
But, Governor, the problem is when you mention the word Democrat, you know that that's red meat for so many Republicans. It doesn't bother you.
Well, it doesn't bother me because we have to get these things done. We're not going to fix Social Security with just one party. We're not a parliamentary system. I mean, we don't have to agree with people that don't think the way we do all the time, but once in a while, if they want to help us to build the house, we invite them over. And look, see, it's not worth winning if you can't deliver on what you're saying. And it's not worth winning if all you want to do is spew red meat. Look, we're down to 4, and I'm standing. I'm the last governor, okay? I mean, it's been fine. And I got to win by raising the bar, not by lowering it. And I want to tell you, if you want to beat Donald Trump, you're not going to beat him by insulting him.
Do you guys
agree? The way
agree?
you beat him is have a bigger vision. Have a bigger vision.
That's exactly right.
Go ahead.
Governor, my question is, you mentioned earlier that you didn't want to have the incendiary thing, you didn't want to get down the gutter, but my concern is that when it comes to the general election, if you are that candidate, that you will not go negative, and I feel that the prior two elections, they weren't negative enough against the Democrats.
I want to answer real quick. First of all, I beat an incumbent in my very first election. I was the only Republican to defeat an incumbent congressman in 1982 running on Reagan. I was the first one to defeat an incumbent governor in Ohio in 36 years. I had never run statewide. For somebody who had never run statewide, it was 96 years. And for my re-election, I won 86 out of 88 counties, 60% of women, 51% of union households, and 26% of African Americans. Don't think that I'm not tough. I mean, I come from Keys Rocks. If you brought your football team in and you beat us, we'd break every window on your bus. So don't worry. But you know, the other thing is I'm beating Hillary by 11 points. You know why? Because those Democrats who Reagan got like me, and the independents like me. You know why? Because I'm not showing my teeth all the time. I'm trying to bring people together. And there is something deep inside of us that would like to see some solutions today in this country. So don't worry about my toughness. You don't want to get in a fight with me.
Ladies and gentlemen, Governor John Kasich.